Hey guys, Billy Epphart here. Thanks for watching another vlog. And today I want to talk to you about something. We get a lot of questions that come in from the vlogs and from the blogs. And one of those we've had, a nice lady just sent in and asked, I've experienced many failures. How do I kind of move on from these failures? And so I'm going to give you some guidelines here today to help you know how to overcome failure. So as we talk about that, I want to help you with this. And number one is you've got to allow the pain of failure to actually move you forward. And I brought the illustration from Benjamin Disraeli. It's when the great statesman of Victorian England, Benjamin Disraeli, attempted to speak in Parliament for the first time. Members hissed him into silence and laughed, but he said, "Though I sit down now, the time will come when you will hear of me." And of course, he was one of the greatest statesmen that England has ever had. Some people don't know this, but Henry Ford, I talked about Ford Motor Company in some of our previous vlogs. Henry Ford, in the beginning, forgot to put a reverse gear in his first car. In fact, Thomas Edison spent $2 million on an invention that never ever happened whatsoever. And that was a long time ago. $2 million was a lot of money. And so you say the point is, well, the point is instead of letting failure discourage you, let failure move you forward to what's next. I talked about one of the other vlogs being a resilient learner. So when you look at or experience failure, one of the things you do is learn to fail forward, and then the other thing you do is you learn to learn from that. So let failure inspire you to move forward. Here's another one on Abraham Lincoln. Some people would call it a biography of failure. Lincoln had less than 1 year of formal schooling. He failed in business in 1831. He was defeated for the legislature in 1832. He again failed in business in 1833. He was elected to the legislature in 1834. His fiancee died in 1835. He was defeated for speaker in 1838. He was defeated for elector in 1840. This is a sad one. Only one of his 4 sons lived past 18. He was defeated for Congress in 1843. He was elected to Congress in 1846. He was defeated for Congress in 1848. He was defeated for Senate in 1855. He was defeated for Vice President in 1856. He was defeated for Senate in 1858, but he was elected president in 1860 and became one of the greatest presidents we've ever had in the history of our nation. And so I share that with you is because you've got to let failure move you forward. He could have stopped on one of these times that he was actually defeated, for example, in an election, but instead of doing that, he understood and he kept moving forward. And that leads me to really the second characteristic, or what you need to display to overcome failure, was number 2 is, number 1 is let failure move you forward. Number 2 is you must learn to live out of purpose. And so, of course, purpose is a big subject, but the book of Proverbs says there are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, it is the Lord's counsel that will stand. Another translation says this, English translation said, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." And then just one chapter later, and this is one of my favorite, it says this, "The purposes of a man's heart are like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw them out." So when we talk about overcoming failure, one of the things you have to understand is really locating your purpose. Because if you locate your purpose and you experience failure, your purpose will anchor you like an anchor anchors a ship in a storm. That you put your anchors down and the ship will more or less ride out the storm because it's been anchored. And so one of the things you have to realize is that when you locate your purpose And people will ask me, well, how do I locate my purpose? Well, the book of Psalms says, delight yourself in the Lord and God will give you the desires of your heart. One of the things is just locating and looking at the things, number one, that you're interested in or that appeal to you, or, for example, sometimes that even make you happy. Now, you got to be careful with the make you happy part, because sometimes, obviously, when you're fulfilling your purpose, not everything you do makes you happy, right? You've got to be disciplined and move through it. But really, it's finding those interests. I remember one time I had a man come into a building, and he was looking up, and now I've been in this same building many times. And I remember this man came into the building for the first time. You know what he noticed? He noticed the dust that was on the chandelier. Now, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like there was a lot of dust or something hanging off of it like cobwebs, but he immediately noticed it. You know what I said to him? I said, you know what? That's part of your purpose. Part of your purpose is keeping this place clean. And sure enough, for years, he served keeping the place clean. And you say, what do you mean? Well, sometimes you find your purpose out of where you start seeing the greatest need, or the things that sometimes bother you the most. And so by doing that, by living out of your purpose, it actually helps you to overcome failure that you may experience. So this is Billy Epperhart. I'll see you right back here. Bye-bye.